We continue now at the top of Daf Chaf Gimel Amud Aleph in Meseches Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 23a. The Mishnah here continues. Zeh HaKlal, the rule is as follows. Kol sheyinotel ha'ilan, in any situation where if you would take away the tree, v'yechol lamod b'fnei atzma, and the sukkah could still stand on its own, ksheira, then in such a situation it is kosher. V'olam la b'yamtiv, you'd also be allowed to go in such a sukkah on yamtiv. Rashi over here continues, Hoel v'minotel ha'ilan, nofel karkois ha'sukkah. If you're in a situation where if the tree is taken away, the floor of the sukkah will fall out. She'eno yachol lamod b'smicha shtayim shebaretz, meaning you can't stand on it with what's supporting it from the ground. Ein olam la b'yamtiv. So in that situation, you would not be allowed to go up on it on yamtiv, the mishtamish be'ilan, because that would be considered using a tree on yamtiv, which is not allowed. And the Gemara says, Moni Masnisin, who is the author of our Mishnah that says that it's okay to have a sukkah on the top of a ship? Rabbi Akiva, the author of our Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva, Titania, as we learned in a Brisa. Ha'osa sukkaso barosh asvina, if somebody makes a sukkah on the top of a ship, Rabbi Gamliel posel, Rabbi Akiva machshir. Rabbi Gamliel says it's posel, and Rabbi Akiva says it's kosher. Ma'aseh Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Akiva sheyuboin b'sfina. There's a story where Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Akiva, they were on a ship. Amar Rabbi Akiva va'asa sukkah barosh asfina. So Rabbi Akiva got up and he made a sukkah on the top of the ship. L'machar noshva ruach va'karta. The next day the wind came and blew down the sukkah. Amar lo Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel said to Rabbi Akiva, Akiva, heichan sukkascha. Akiva, where is your sukkah? Amar Abaya, now Abaya says, Dekuli alma, everybody agrees as follows. If you have a sukkah that is so weak that it can't even stand in a normal wind on dry land, lo klumi, that is nothing, it's certainly not a kosher sukkah. Now, if it's able to withstand even an uncommonly strong wind on the dry land, everybody agrees that's certainly kosher. Ki pligi, when is there a machlokas between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Gamliel? B'diyachola lamod beruach mitzuya deyabasha, ve'ina yachola lamod beruach mitzuya deyam. They changed the girsa over here. Take a look at the Mesoras Hashah, says beruach mitzuya deyam, kach girsas tosfis le'el, v'chein garsin and harash v'haran. That's also the girsa of the Rush and the Ran. So in other words, if you have a situation where it cannot withstand the normal wind of the sea, so that's where there's a machlokas. Rabbi Gamliel holds sukkah diras keva ba'ina, and the sukkah needs to be a permanent structure. Since it can't withstand the normal wind that happens at sea, it's nothing. Rabbi Akiva holds sukkah diras arai ba'ina, and sukkah only needs to be a temporary structure. And since it's able to withstand the normal wind of the dry land, that's going to be kosher. And Rashi over here says, lo klumhi, that's going on a case where it cannot even withstand a normal wind in the on dry land. That's for sure nothing. Diafilu diras arai lo have it. That's not even classified as a diras arai. That's not even a temporary dwelling place. She'ena mitsuya diabasha, if it's an uncommonly strong wind on dry land, have a keruach mitsuya diam. That's the same thing as a normal wind that you find at sea. Those are the same things. Yechol alamad buruach she'ena mitsuya diabasha, if it can withstand that kind of uncommonly strong wind on dry land, the hainu ruach mitsuya diam, again, which is the same thing as a normal wind at sea, to kuliyama, then everybody agrees. Again, certainly it is considered strong enough. Now, the point is here, says Rashi, even though it cannot withstand an uncommonly strong wind at sea, so even there, if it can't withstand such a wind, that is, even if you hold that you need that sukkah needs to be a diras keva, that's still going to be okay, because that is such an uncommonly strong wind. We don't expect the sukkah to be able to withstand such a wind anyhow. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, O al gabe gomel v'chulu. The Mishnah said that even though you're not supposed to go up onto a sukkah that's built in a tree or on an animal, but it's still a kosher sukkah. So the Gemara says, Masnisin Moni, who's the author of our Mishnah? Rabbi Meir. It's Rabbi Meir, the Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa, Osa sukkaso agavi behema. If somebody builds his sukkah on top of an animal, Rabbi Meir machshir, Rabbi Yehuda posel. Rabbi Meir says it's kosher, Rabbi Yehuda says it's posel. My time with Rabbi Yehuda, what's the reason, Rabbi Yehuda, that such a sukkah is posel? Again, we understand you might not be able to use it on Yontiv, but why is that a posel sukkah? So Amar Krakas, the pasuk says, Chaka Sukkos Tasel Chashavas Yomim. It says you have to make the holiday of Sukkos for 7 days, and we darshan Sukkah Haru'uya L'Shiva Shma Sukkah. Only a sukkah that can be fit to be used for all 7 days is called a sukkah. Sukkah She'ina Ru'uya L'Shiva Lo Shma Sukkah. A sukkah that can't be used for 7 days is not called a sukkah. And of course, you're not allowed to be mishtamish with animals on Sukkos, and therefore that can't be used on Yontiv. So therefore, it's not going to be a sukkah at all. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Meir, what does Rabbi Meir respond to this drasha? Hanami, even in this case, midoraisa michsachazia. This sukkah can be used for 7 days on a doraisa level, but Rabbanon de gazruba. It's only a gezerah midrabbanon that you're not allowed to use an animal on Yontiv. It's not something that's midoraisa, and therefore it is a kosher sukkah on a doraisa level. And Rashi over here says, Al gabe behema, you build a sukkah on an animal, could go nosan de losos, al shnei susim. For example, you take doors and you put it on the backs of 2 horses, behem karkois ha-sukkah, that will serve as the floor of the sukkah, and then you're going to build walls in schach, haru'uya l'shiva, it has to be fit for 7 days. V'hashta de gazer rabbanan, and now, again, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that's a problem. So you have here a gezerah de rabbanan of ein olin law, that you're not allowed to go on the sukkah on Yontiv, because you're not allowed to be mishtamish with ilanos or with animals on Yontiv, nimtza she'ena ru'uya l'yom rishon. Even though it's just a gezerah midrabbanan, but the fact is it cannot be used on day 1, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda says it's possible. And again, Rabbi Meir responds, on a doraisa level, it could be used on day 1, so it's not a problem. And the Gemara continues, Asal lebehema dofen l'sukkah. Let's say a person uses an animal in order to be a wall for the sukkah. Rabbi Meir posel, Rabbi Yehuda machshir. Here we have the exact opposite. Rabbi Meir is the one who says it's possible, and Rabbi Yehuda says it's kosher. Shahaya Rabbi Meir Omer, because Rabbi Meir used to say, Kol davar sheyesh bo ruach chaim, anything that's alive, like an animal, ein oseno so lo dofen l'sukkah. You can't use it as a wall for the sukkah. V'lo lechi l'mavoi. You can't use it as a post in the front of your alleyway for shitufei mavos, meaning for eruvin purposes. V'lo pasen lebiros. You can't use it for pasei biros. Pasei biros, again, was when they had these wells on the public streets. So they used to enclose them with 4 L-shaped walls, and they used to use that leniency to make that entire area within the walls of Rosh Hashanah so that the travelers could fill up water from those wells, and it wouldn't be a problem of taking from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. So you can't use a living animal as part of your pasei biros. V'lo gola lekever. You're also not allowed to use it as the cover for a coffin. Now, what we're referring to over here is that generally the cover of a coffin has a status that it can convey tumah, and that's not going to be true when it's a live animal. V'lo gola lekever. Kilomar, what it means to say is imasau kisoy. Rashi says, if you made it a cover, la rono shel mace, for the casket of the mace, ein shem golel olav latame. It's not going to be called a golel, and it's not going to convey tumah. So we have a brisa that says over there that a golel can convey tumah, maga, masa, and oil. It says in the brisa, al pnei hasad l'rabos golel v'dofik. That's learned out from a drasha. So that also, according to Rabbi Meir, is not going to apply when it's a living animal. Mishum Rabbi Yossi Aglili Amru, and in the name of Rabbi Yossi Aglili, they said, Afein kosvin alav gitei nashim. Comes to a living animal, you're not allowed to write on a living animal a divorce document. And so the Gemara now says, my time with Rabbi Meir. What is the reason of Rabbi Meir? Why does Rabbi Meir say that using an animal for the wall of a sukkah is a problem? So Abaye Amar Shema Thomas. Abaye says the problem is that the animal might die. And Rabbi Zeira Amar Shema Tivrach. And Rabbi Zeira says it's a different problem. Maybe the animal's going to run away. In either case, you're going to lose your wall. And now the Gemara explains exactly what the machlokas is. Bepil kosher kuliyama lo pligi. When it comes to, let's say the animal's an elephant, which is very large, and it's tied, so it's not going to run away. So there's no argument at all. It's certainly okay. Dinami mayis, because even if the animal dies, yesh benivloso yud. The nevel itself is still going to be 10 tvachim high. So even if it's a dead animal, it's going to reach the minimum dimensions of a sukkah. And so the Gemara says, Ki pligi, when is there this machlokas amoroim between Abaye and Rabbi Zeira, that there's a practical difference between whether we're concerned it's going to die or whether we're concerned it's going to run away. But pil she'eno kasha, the machlokas is if you have an elephant that's not tied down. Laman damar shema Thomas, according to the one who says we're concerned the animal might die, lo chashin, it's not a problem by an elephant, because again, even if it dies and collapses, it's still going to be large enough to serve as a wall of a sukkah. Laman damar gezerah shema tivrach, now according to the one who says we're afraid the animal might run away, chashin, and then we are concerned the animal might indeed run away. So the Gemara asks, according to the one who says we're concerned it might die, why isn't that mandamar concerned it might run away? That should be a concern. In other words, it's not logical to say that we're only concerned that it might die, but we have no concern that it might run away. So the Gemara says, you're right, that can't be the issue. If you have an animal like an elephant that's not tied down, everyone agrees that's a problem, might run away. The actual machlokas is by an animal, not an elephant, that is tied down. And according to the one who says that it might die, we have a concern over here, the animal might die. According to the one who says it might run away, it's not a problem if it's tied up. So there's your practical difference. In that case, if the animal dies, it's going to collapse and it's not going to be large enough to serve as the wall of a sukkah. So that man d'amar who says we're afraid it might die will say it's a problem to use an animal. The one who says it's an issue of running away, if it's as long as the animal's tied down, it's not going to be a problem. So the Gemara says, same type of question as before. According to the one who is concerned that the animal might run away, why isn't that man d'amar concerned that the animal might die? And the Gemara answers simply, misa lo shchicha, death is not common, so that man d'amar is not concerned with that possibility. But the Gemara asks, there's a different problem. Isn't there space between the legs of the animal? So how does the animal even serve as a wall anyhow when you have all of this open space in your wall? And the Gemara says, the case is you fill in the space, you tie leaves in between the legs, and that's going to fill in the wall. Gemara continues, Vidil Marava, but maybe the animal's going to crouch down. Isn't that a problem in terms of the height? It's not going to be the minimum height for the walls of a sukkah. So the Gemara says, the Mesicha ba'ashlei mil'el. So it's no problem. You'll just tie it from ropes from above, and you'll hold the animal up, so then it won't be able to crouch down. Gemara says, 1 second, if that's the situation, but if that's the situation, according to the one who's concerned the animal might die, isn't it also okay because you're tying the animal from above, and therefore the animal's not going to collapse if it dies, so that shouldn't be a problem. Death should not be a concern in this case. So the Gemara says, no, according to that man d'amar, there still is a concern. Why? Sometimes you're going to set up the animal that it is just tall enough within 3 tvachim of the schach. In other words, it's 7 tvachim and a little bit, and therefore you're going to use lavud to try to complete the size of the wall. And then, as we'll see in the next video, if it dies, there is going to be a problem. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Gimel Amud Beis.